Hey guys, John here with Nexus, and in this video we're going to talk about the Nexus 6. I've had it since it was released on AT&T. I pre-ordered it the night it was opened, and I received it the following Thursday, and it's been my only daily driver since. Part of this video, the B-roll footage, is being taped on it so that you can get an idea of what that looks like, although you've probably already seen that. And this video is not just a regular review. I didn't want to just do what everybody else has already done way earlier, and since I'm so late, that wouldn't make sense anyways. But this is kind of how it's been in day-to-day use, since it has been in my only smartphone for almost 6 months, or even over 6 months. I'm not exactly sure what time frame, but around 6 months. And so that's what this video is about, and I hope you guys enjoy. This is my Nexus 6 months later review. So first off is the design, how it's worn over time, and it's really done a great job. I've dropped it several times, I've, mishandled it a couple times. It's, been really sturdy. There are some design flaws, and we'll get to those, but let's start with the positives. So, it's really comfortable in the hand. It's shaped to your hand. Everybody knows that. We've heard that, the curve that Motorola has. But it really is. When you first get the phone, it feels really big. It feels way bigger. You're like, oh yeah, it's a big phone. I've held Notes, I've held, all these different phones, but when you actually get your hands on it, you realize it is big. And that feeling goes away after using it for only a couple of days, actually, and I was soon using it one-handed, no problem. Of course, I do have large hands, larger than almost anybody I know, but that's, you're going to have to take into account. If you want a big phone, you already know how that feels, and you're going to go for it. I've dropped it a couple times, like I said, and it's done pretty well. It's got like a scuff on the top, and it's got a few little things around it, no scratches on the screen, and one rip in the back panel, plastic cover on the back, which I'm not sure how it got there. All I know is that I went from having a perfect Nexus 6 back cover to having a rip there, and if that is a big deal to me, I can go and change it out, although that hasn't been an issue for me. I'll probably just leave it until I possibly need to replace it, which is really easy. There are lots of tutorials on how to do it, or when I get a new phone, which probably won't be for a while, but we'll see. So on my list of cons is the front fascia of the device looks bad after a while. The side panels, if you use a case, the side panels where the glass connects to the screen starts to separate just a little bit, enough that it's noticeable when you feel it with your fingers. On the top more than on the sides or the bottom, but on the sides too. The bottom's usually pretty smooth. And the speakers collect a lot of white dust, earwax, different things that it collects and it looks ugly. It doesn't undermine the speaker's quality very much, but it's a little bit annoying and it's really hard to clean out. I wish that there was less of that issue with speakers in the future, but it wasn't a break it, make or break it, deal breaker thing, so it worked out alright for me. So next up is software experience. The Nexus 6 shipped with 5.0 Lollipop out of the box, stock Android Lollipop, and it was really good, but it had some bugs. Luckily, those bugs were improved. They're all gone since the 5.0.1 update, and now we have 5.1. And if you want, you can put the Android M developer preview on it. I'm still debating whether or not to, since it is my only smartphone still, and I'm on a tight budget, so I don't want to brick my device. Almost did try and put it on before I really thought about it. So you could go that route, but probably not the best idea if it's your daily driver like it is mine. So stock Lollipop 5.0 had a lot of bugs, like I just said. Things would not show up, like system UI running in the background apps running in the background would show up in multitasking one at a time after you've closed every app and reopened multitasking. There would be something there. You close it, open, there's something else there. Close it, open, multitasking, there's something else there. That was completely fixed with 5.0.1, as well as battery life on 5.0.1 was a lot better than 5.0, and that's something else we need to talk about, battery life. The Nexus 6 has a whopping 3,100 milliamp hour battery. Okay, so that's not that big, but it is, in theory, a big battery that should get you a lot of use. Now, my guess is that if you were more like you and less like me, you'd get a lot more battery out of it. But as I use my device, I do a lot of YouTube, I do a lot of photo and graphic intensive things. I listen to music, I stream things, I do a lot of stuff on my phone. I consider myself a power user. My phone is almost always out of my pocket, and I end up using a lot of battery, and I'm usually down to 15% at the end of the day before I climb into bed, and my day ranges from starting at 7 a.m. to around 10 a.m. and it closes ranging from around 11:30 to 1:30. So I usually plug in my device before I go to bed, but it still lasts me all day long. But the thing is, the battery lasts longer if you charge it with a charger other than the one shipped. The one shipped is a turbocharger, and it helps you get faster charge. But in my time using it, I've noticed that I get worse battery life if I charge with the turbocharger. So what I've been doing is, if I need charge during the day, I'll hook it up to the turbocharger. If I'm, sitting at home and I've been using it a lot and it's down and I'm about to go out somewhere, I'll hook it up to the turbocharger before I leave, give it around, half an hour at the max, and we've got quite a bit more battery. Don't know exactly how much, but if I was at 50% and I plug it in, I'll usually be at around 70% before I leave, which is really handy. But at night, when I'm coming to bed and I plug it in, I always plug it into another wall outlet that is not a turbocharger. And although it is really slow, think 12 hours until a full charge from 20%, it usually does the job overnight. That's the predicted time that tells me. That's something else cool about the software experience. It tells you how long it thinks it's going to be till your battery is full. Probably all the other smartphones do too, but that's been handy, and it's been pretty accurate so far. The performance on the Nexus 6 is pretty good, on par with the rest of the modern smartphones out there, Galaxy S6, LG G4. I'm sure they're better and faster and newer and whatever, but it's worked out for me. It's been fast enough for all of my needs, so I'm happy with it. The Nexus 6 will easily get you through anything you throw at it, from gaming to media to anything you throw at it. It'll handle fine, and it'll be just enough for anything you want to throw its way. Onto the camera. The Nexus 6 had a lot of bashing for its camera. The Moto X and the Nexus 6 were both thoroughly hated on by almost the entire tech community for their camera capabilities, and I don't share the same opinion. Now, it's not the best camera in the world. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's the best camera. Go out and buy this phone for the camera. If you want a good camera on your phone, and that's the main feature you're looking for, then don't get the Nexus 6. But if you do want a good camera, and you like some of the other things that the Nexus 6 has to offer, it's still a good buy. The camera takes really, really good photos. Now, I just said that it's not the best, and that it's not. It takes really good photos. You just need to know how. You can't just pull out the Nexus 6, open the camera app, snap a picture, have it turn out perfect. You're gonna have something blurry or overexposed or something like that. But if you take a little bit more time, pull out the camera, tap to focus where you want it, hold it still, and take your picture, you're gonna get good photos every single time. I've talked to people with iPhones, iPhone 6, iPhone 5, iPhone 5S, and they all really like the quality of my pictures. You can take 4K video on the Nexus 6, and it's pretty decent. Not the best. It's limited to 5 minutes of recording time, and it doesn't have a consistent focus. It jumps in and out. I'll be showing you for this section the portion taken on the Nexus 6 right there. I'd say it does pretty well with the exposure and white balance. Alright, you can see for yourself, but you know, not the best. 1080p does about the same quality, but you know, so that's about how it is. In low light, you're not going to get amazing photos like you would on some other cameras, maybe, but I've taken some low light photos and they've come out really well. I was at a wedding and I took some of these photos that you're seeing now, and I think they turned out pretty well. They were just open stock Android camera app, snap, you know, tap to focus, snap a picture, some in HDR. I'm not sure which. It doesn't tell me any, you know, in the camera app, so I can't really show you the difference on most, but I do know some which ones are which. So yeah, it's been a good experience for me, and I think it will be a good experience for anyone who picks it up now, and definitely suit your needs. You can download manual camera from the App Store. It costs about $3. I did that because I was looking for some more manual controls, and I've taken some pretty good photos, and you can take in RAW and manual camera, and it's definitely something you'll want to do if you want to tweak your photos to your liking, and I found it to be pretty good. Although you'll want to stick to the stock Android camera app for selfies, because you really don't have most manual control over that anyway, so yeah. And please, please, please bring manual video to manual camera. I want it so bad. I would totally switch to my Nexus 6 for all my videos if that came. Please. Please. Overall, satisfaction with the camera. I'm pleased. I have the only post on Instagram with the hashtag taken on the Nexus 6 last time I checked. My personal account has that, and it's basically just showing off some of the best pictures that I've taken. I haven't posted very many recently with that hashtag, but my entire Instagram is pretty much Nexus 6 photos with a couple of older ones, like half of them, the older ones were taken on my iPod Touch 5th gen, but all the same, you get a mixed bag of photo quality, but you'll still get some good shots. One of the things about video on the Nexus 6 is you can't tap to focus while it's taking video or control the exposure or anything. It's all automatic, and if you tap the screen it will take a photo, which is kind of annoying. So I'm satisfied with the Nexus 6 as my daily driver, and it's been a really good experience for me with some quirks along the way. But the truth is, every single phone you look at is going to have its own quirks, whether it's the S6 and TouchWiz's different quirks and ways it does things. And you may like it, you may not. If it's the LG G4, you know, you may think it's a really, really awesome camera or, you know, great whatever, but you might not like LG's skin, or you might not like the way it feels, or how big it is, or, you know, it's smaller than the Nexus 6, so if you're going for that, you wouldn't want it. But, you know, you might think the Note 4 is, you know, too gimmicky, too much TouchWiz, too much whatever. And, you know, every phone you get is going to have a personality. It's going to have problems and issues and differences. You know, if you get a Note 4, you're not guaranteed the same battery life that some reviewer over there got. If you buy a Nexus 6, you're not guaranteed to have as bad or better of an experience than I had. You know, you're not guaranteed anything with smartphones, and that's what I'm trying to say. Overall, this phone has made me more productive in a lot of ways, and more wasting of my time in a lot of ways, and I think it's a good buy. If you were to go out and look for a phone, and you came to me and asked for suggestions, it would be on my list. but only if you're looking for specific things. And here are 5 of them. A large screen. You're looking for a large screen phone. A big phone. You like them, you want a big phone, I would definitely suggest the Nexus 6. You want an easy user interface. By all means, stock Android is the easiest to navigate, in my opinion. I've used Samsung devices and stock Android, and I've talked with people who are not so great with tech, and they all agree that it's so confusing on some of the other OEMs skins out there, and that stock Android is much easier to navigate. Another thing, if you're looking for a decent camera, the Nexus 6 is a good option. I know that there are better cameras on phones out there, people, but this is still a good, viable option for you to choose from. The 4th thing I would say, if you're looking for this, the Nexus 6 is a good buy, is if you're into front-facing speakers. So if you want a big device and front-facing speakers, there's really only 3 options. The Nexus 6, the Alcatel One Touch Idol 3, which is cheaper and apparently a really good phone. I would love to look into it. We'll have to see how that works out. The Alcatel One Touch Idol 3 and the HTC One Max, which is big, and it's a One Max, and it's really, really slow and old and out of date. Or if you want to import the M9 Plus from China, I guess you could do that. So you really only have 2 options if you want a big phone with front-facing speakers, the Nexus 6 and the One Touch Idol 3. So if you're looking for a big phone and you want front-facing speakers, Nexus 6, go for it. They're good quality, they just get stuff stuck in them. The 5th thing you might be looking for, which I would suggest the Nexus 6 for, is if you want an overall high-quality experience. And what I mean by that is build quality. If you want a phone that you know that when you drop it on tile in the bathroom, when you're pulling it out of your pocket, it's not going to crack. I've done that. It's got scuffs. I showed them to you earlier, and it's okay still. If you want a phone that feels good in the hand, it really does. It's really nice. If you want a phone that is a little bit of heft to it, but it's not too heavy, the Nexus 6 is a great option. If you like that type of thing in your phone, you're going to like the Nexus 6. So my overall rating for the Nexus 6, from 1 to 10, would definitely be an 8.5. It's really right on a lot of things, although there are some things that falls a little bit shorter in the camera, a little bit, some of the issues with build quality on the back material. Just a few things that falls a little bit short with to make it not a 9, but it's strong 8.5, maybe even 8.7. It's up there. It's really high up there, and I definitely suggest it. So go check it out, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you did not like what I talked about, you can leave it a thumbs down. That's fine. Sure. And definitely let me know down there in the comment section what you think. Do you like the Nexus 6? Are you going to pick one up? Have you already picked a phone up? What do you think about smartphones that have been there? And also, if you guys like my channel and this type of video, please subscribe. I need a lot of support in that area. It would really help me out. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.